Hey everyone, and welcome back. This has been a long video, long time coming here. I've been working a long time on it, working hard, and I hope you enjoy it. This is the top 10 Season 1 matches in the SWA. We got some real spicy ones in here, so let's kick back, relax, and enjoy this new top 10 video. Starting off at number 10, all the way back right to fight the Royal Rumble. Ace and Keiho Senkari started up in the match, and we had some of our new debuts in the Season 1 Rumble. Dr. Morbius came in at 18, and he made a real grand impression to start off, busting some sick dance moves on Flynn Turner Simmons, who promptly bops him with a DDT. Welcome to the SWA, Morbius. The next entrant, new wrestler Eddie Vortex, unfortunately had a little bit of trouble in the Rumble. Had a real quick showing, I believe under a minute, if not 1 minute. Very short entrance in the Rumble, but he has since wrestled successfully as the Barefoot Buddies tag partner to Songres. And the final new entrant in the SWA Royal Rumble was Paragon. Mr. Clean, the man who is 400 pounds, massive meat mountain, and he really showed out in a big way, taking another large wrestler in the Machine immediately over the top ropes upon his entrance into the Royal Rumble. And he had a great showing. As we noticed, Dr. Morbius still in from 18. But it came down to the final two wrestlers, Tomio Yamaguchi and Puma. Both very strong competitors in the SWA, both with something to gain here, as they were both, or all the wrestlers in the Royal Rumble were fighting for a chance at the championship belt at the next pay-per-view end of the line. Puma had a slightly more sticky situation, though, because the championship belt holder at this point was Cervantes, Puma's tag partner. So it was a real interesting development in the tag team partnership of El Puma and Cervantes when, as we will see in a moment here, Puma eliminates Tomio Yamaguchi with a Hurricane Rana takedown and wins the Royal Rumble, earning punching his ticket to the end of the line championship belt match. Coming in at number 9, the Quinn Brothers versus Unhinged. This one dates all the way back to Right to Fight Season 1. First time the championship belt for the tag division was on the line in a storied matchup between the Quinn Bros and Unhinged here, who have to this day remained rivals. And some might say that this match was the match that kicked off that rivalry between Unhinged and the Quinn Bros. Both teams have had struggles as of late in the tag division, but at this point in time in the SWA, these two teams were unstoppable. And this was a rock and a hard place. Somebody had to give. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object, some might say. And but this one had a little bit of an interesting happenstance happen during it. We'd had up to this point a couple disqualifications, I believe, mostly due to low blows or things that would get you disqualified generally. But in some absolutely brilliant wrestling, as we'll see here in a second, the Quinn Bros just bamboozle Slate on the outside of the ring, disorient him, and then hop in to the ring at the last second and win by countout. So just some bizarre tag team wrestling, but even more so because it was for the belt. And then that's the match right there. And then at number 8, all the way back, or maybe not all the way back even, but at the final night of Season 1, 2-night stand, Night 2, we had a match between Daniel Drake Thomas the Lion King and Calvin Abueva the Beast in an Iron Man submissions only match. Now this one really delivered in terms of for those who really like that technical style of wrestling, maybe not all the big moves, but we saw plenty of really big moves. Lion King putting on his signature power submission style, certainly even more fluent in that style of wrestling than even Daniel Jake Thomas is, who is well known as the submission expert in the SWA at this point. The first submission was actually on Daniel Jake Thomas, well known for his submission game. He gets submitted by the Lion King, fairly new wrestler looking to prove a point here, and this was a brawl from this point on. Daniel Jake Thomas knew that he had to really step up his game and bring it to the King, but the King answered right back multiple times, in fact, to the point where we saw Daniel Jake Thomas take a late lead of 5 submissions to 4 to the Lion King, and with only seconds to spare, the Lion King locks in another Lion's Den on Daniel Jake Thomas to tie it up and provide one of the most biggest crowd pops that we had seen so far in the SWA until later that night, where one of the most impressive matches of the year occurred. But here we are, looking at 15 seconds left here, and Tiger King locks in the submission to earn the tie for the Iron Man submissions only match. Number 7. Now this one was chaos. This was the 2-night stand, night 1 tag team ladders match. This one was the belt was on the line in night 2, and they needed an opponent. So all the tag teams, or most of the tag teams at the time, I believe a couple were left out, but 4 worthy deserving tag teams in Deadfire, in Unhinged, in Fuerza Mayor, and in the pairing of Love Machine, Gonzo McLovin, and The Machine. We had an absolute blast of a match here. Ladders flying about, men flying about. This one was absolute chaos, and all these big matches are always a fun time to watch. The first ladder was popped in by The Machine, we see, and it took him a little bit of extra damage there on one of the Unhinged tag team members. But this one was a real slog. This one took a while, I do remember, and we had many opportunities for wrestlers to climb the ladder, only for it to fall. Deadfire or Dead Piece knocking The Machine off the ladder there, and then ultimately I do believe it's Deadfire that wins this one. They go up to the top rope, but not before Gonzo McLovin knocks his own tag team partner, Machine, off the ladder to secure nothing. Frankly, they struggled to operate as a well-oiled team. But this one wound up being quite the match. We saw a lot of offense with the ladder involved. There was a lot more shenanigans, and yeah. Next up, we have at number 6, another 2-night stand classic, night 1's Yates Memorial 8-man match. Now, we all know Yates was a former wrestler for the SWA, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for Yates at this time. We're not so sure whatever happened to Yates, but it's a memorial match, so we'll exercise a moment of silence for Yates. But back to the match. This one was the match of the big bodies. I believe you had to be over a certain weight threshold to enter this match. So we have only wrestlers north of 240 pounds. And the Goldenberg gets the first elimination in this match on the boulder with his tombstone pile driver. And this one was an elimination, so last man standing. And this one kind of cemented the legacy, as this one had one of the rare, strange instant replay effects that happened, as Big Al Sebastian, so hip and so cool, eliminates Paragon on the apron there. But this one kind of cemented the legacy, or the future legacy, of Dr. Morbius being one of the more resilient wrestlers in the SWA, always fighting to maybe surprising lengths for being, at this point in time, such a new face in the SWA. We're 3 seasons later, or 2 seasons later, or another whole season later, and we know quite a bit more about Dr. Morbius' style and how proficient and how longevity based his wrestling style is. Now we're getting down to the slim few. This was Dr. Morbius throwing some dance moves on Lazar Malveaux, and then absolutely crushing his face with some haymaker punches as Goldenberg kind of looks on from the apron over there, saying, "Oh, I don't want to get in the way of that." But once they hop down onto the apron, Goldenberg sniffs an opportunity here to take out Lazar, as Morbius gets sent back into the ring. And this one was frankly, Mo and Doc had been calling it all night. They thought Goldenberg was going all the way. They thought this was Goldenberg's to lose, and lose he did. Certainly a surprising outcome, especially with how fresh Dr. Morbius was in the organization at this point. And really, as we can see, Morbius absolutely laying into Goldenberg here at the end of the match, with his trademark leg drop onto Goldenberg for the cover. Refs coming in from downtown, 1, 2, 3, and then that cements one of the more interesting SWA wrestlers in the company. Number 5. Now, I really do recommend going and watching this whole match. I couldn't really do it justice in the editing room, just because of how much wrestling there was. And this was the true Iron Man. If the submission Iron Man match was an Iron Man match, this is the Full Metal Jacket Iron Man match. This one was a real slug. 2 absolutely legendary wrestlers in the SWA at this point, both holding top 10 power ranking titles. Warren Windham, former champion. Songres, also later in his career, champion of the SWA. These two have been known to feud. We all the way back in the inaugural tournament, Windham eliminated Songres, and Songres definitely had something to pick, along with Triple G, Gorgeous Garrison Gray at the time. That Windham only won because of his sheer size and not because of his wrestling skill. And honestly, I think it'd been proven by this point that Wyndham was the real deal. He wasn't just sheer size. He wasn't only for show, but he could wrestle with the best of them. And this one really turned into a slog. And then this one also, interestingly enough, had one of the first instances that I think I've seen in the SWA that the wrestlers make it outside the barricade. We see Sangres retreat or get hit, more likely, over the barricade, and then Wyndham starts following, and then from here on, I believe it's a crowd-based brawl. No padding, no matting to help anything. This is just a fight at this point. This was personal from Wyndham and Sangres. We see Wyndham really manhandling Sangres a lot in this match, and ultimately, I believe, I know that Wyndham will win this, but it's just impressive to see the beating that Sangres took in this match from Wyndham. Maybe Wyndham releasing all of his stress onto Sangres from all of the hate and heel status. There's a lot of people who do not like Warren Wyndham in the chats and in the live shows. We hear a lot of boos, and then from this point on, we're out here in corrugated steel over by the arena ramp, by the ring ramp, and we see our ref just chilling. He's having a good time up there on the ramp, making his way downtown, walking fast. And then this did not count out Sangres. Ref had to come quite a ways for that one. But in the end, Warren Wyndham really put on a show with Sangres here, and this one was one of the longer matches in the SWA, while also being one of the more bloody, as we see Warren Wyndham absolutely cut open here, and Sangres additionally just with the red stuff coming out of him like a stuck pig. In the final 30 seconds here, a little bit more offense, but ultimately Warren Wyndham wins this one. The ref comes down again. The ref was really getting a workout in this one. He was always running around trying to get the best angle. But this one was you really have to watch this one. This one, I couldn't do it justice, and it would be half the video length if I left it all in. So I just highly recommend going back to the VOD, going to Two Night Stand Night 1 and watching, Right to Fight, watching this 30-minute Iron Man match between two of the best to do it in the SWA. And coming in at number 4, this one was Warren Wyndham versus Cervantes. This was action all the way back from episode 9, one of our earliest matches, I think, in the top 10 here. This was a good one. We had a known quantity with Warren Wyndham. Already won title defense under his belt, figuratively, haha, and literally. But this one, we saw Cervantes kind of go on a really quick ascension from someone who's maybe on the fringes of championship contention to like 2 or 3 matches later already coming after Warren Wyndham for a title shot. And frankly, Cervantes showed out. He really showed up to play, and Warren Wyndham maybe expecting a little bit of an easier match, just, hoping to cruise to a victory here with the belt in hand. Cervantes really had the upset on Warren Wyndham, and we'll see later just the absolute strength of Cervantes lifting Warren Wyndham. But some more back and forth action at this moment, I believe. We're getting close to the end of the match, but Warren Windham really still had some energy in the tank, but at this juncture, this one was Cervantes to lose at this point. We'd seen quite a bit of activity from Cervantes, just proving how aggressive of a wrestler and how strong of a wrestler he was at this time against Windham. And we see some real work from Windham here, going to town on Cervantes, but maybe that's just to prove how durable Cervantes is. One of the best to do it in the SWA has been ever since night one, Warren Windham. But this move onto Windham, this Herculean throw of such a large man to clinch the match really drove home how powerful a wrestler Cervantes was, and he went on to hold that title and defend it multiple times and quite a while. Coming up at number 3, this one was a treat. This is the last of the Windham Championship matches in the top 10. But this one was a little special because this one had the Elimination Chamber gimmick coming forward, where every once in a while, I believe every 30 or 45 seconds, a new wrestler is entered into the elimination match, and it is last man standing. And then this one was also for the SWA Championship at this point. This was Windham's first defense on the belt, as we see the Beast working over the boulder at this time. And then our first entrant into the Elimination Chamber match was Gorgeous Garrison Gray, who at this point in time had vocalized how upset he was with the state of some of the larger wrestlers in the SWA, and he really showed it there with going immediately for the boulder, one of the largest in the SWA at this time. Abueva just the Beast just hoping, or just watching at this point. Next entrant was the Ace, who was a high-flying, maybe a little bit of a wild card. The Ace had quite a bit of a run going on in the early SWA, and he really shows out with some of the best moves in this elimination match. We see immediately upon his entrance, he took down not one but two really big opponents, and then goes to the top of the Elimination Chamber with a huge splash onto the boulder. That was a wild moment. We were all popping off in the chat when that happened, I remember. Next entrant was Cervantes, and this is kind of setting up the previous match, the number 4 match, where Cervantes really had a nice showing here in this match with Windham and all the rest of the crew here. He kind of gets hung up on going in and out of the ropes for a little bit, but it all works out in the end for Cervantes. But finally, once this match gets rolling, another big drop kick from Gray onto Cervantes. Warren Windham finally makes his way into the match. Being the championship belt holder, maybe a little bit of privilege was earned to him to come out last on the match. But as we'll see here, this match, beyond setting up a rivalry between Cervantes and Windham for a title chance later in Cervantes' SWA career, we see the Beast. The Beast is born. The fire inside, where he really shows out in these pay-per-view matches, or these very high-stakes matches, spears Windham into the Elimination Chamber. Real crazy moment from the Beast, but he doesn't only do it just once. but he does it twice, really showing who the champ, and really showing the fans at home and all of our loyal watchers of the SWA just how capable of a wrestler that the Beast is. And we see him yanking Wyndham out of the Elimination Chamber after spearing him through too. And then this was a little bit later into the match. Ace gets a cheeky like moonsault or spinning flying kick thing and eliminates Gray, who had been taking quite a beating from Cervantes and Tupuola for a while. But Cervantes takes advantage, or actually I say Wyndham takes advantage and finally eliminates the Beast. He's just stalking his prey at this point. But for two of the largest wrestlers in the league, the Ace really has a nice showing here in the last few moments of this match to cement kind of his momentum going into the early seasons of the SWA, or the early matches of the SWA. Almost getting a pin on Wyndham there, but doesn't quite get it done. Trying to game all of the down wrestlers in the match, and unfortunately Cervantes says no more and eliminates the Ace. And then it comes down to effectively a rematch of our episode 9 match, but at this point Wyndham cleans up and secures and defends his championship belt. Once we see him do a little quick reversal here, we'll see a little bit more action from Wyndham, who just absolutely dominates Cervantes for the last few moments of this match, and we just see an absolute huge display of strength here. Pump handle driver for another kick just for good measure. One on the arms, showing who's boss. And then finally, Cervantes stands up into one of the most deadly moves in the biz. Into a cover. And then that's it. Warren Wyndham defends his title at Countdown Elimination Chamber match. Now we're finally into the top two here. This one happened at end of the line. This one was a real treat. This one is the product of the Royal Rumble that we saw earlier. The fatal three-way between Puma, Cervantes, and Tomio Yamaguchi. Cervantes has held the belt for quite a while at this point, almost 2 pay-per-views Cervantes held the belt, and ultimately had to end up fighting his tag partner, Puma, for the belt. And this one eventually, unfortunately, imploded their partnership to the point where they had a grudge match, a mask versus mask match. And Cervantes was... I don't actually think the Cervantes got unmasked. I don't ever think we saw a Cervantes unmasking, so who knows? He might still be out there, but he, according to reports, had definitely vacated the premises of his home and of the surrounding area where he was living. So at this point, we don't know quite where Cervantes is at, but in this match, we do know where he's at, and he's in a rock and a hard place between his tag partner and Tomio Yamaguchi, one of the most winningest, most strongest wrestlers in the company. And Tomio really shows out in this match, where not only is he fighting a tag team, I mean, granted they're fighting themselves, but one could argue this one was a 2v1 match, as we see Puma coming up to the top rope, putting a little bit of extra damage onto Cervantes with a huge aerial move coming up, just stalking his prey at this point. Big elbow right to the gut from Puma, and Yamaguchi trying to crawl up to the stuff. Cervantes kicks out of the elbow, and then Yamaguchi interrupts what might have been the deal-sealing finisher from Puma. Knocks him to the outside, knocks him out. Hits him with the go to sleep into the cover to win the SWA Championship belt. And if you have been following, the SWA has only recently just lost the belt at End of the Line Season 2. So he held it for a full season, one of the longest champ, the third champ and the longest champ that we have had in the SWA thus far. Big super punch from Yamaguchi there. But this one was a classic. This one was a big match in many ways for the storylines of all of these wrestlers. And they all really performed at a high level during this match. And we, as the recipients of watching it, enjoyed it thoroughly. Little belt ceremony here for Yamaguchi. He said, "Give me that. I want that belt. That's mine." And then finally, our number one match of SWA Season 1, maybe one of the best matches in SWA history going forward. Draven versus Painwrecker at Night 1 of Two Night Stand. The grudge match, the golden trial match. Championship opportunity on the line, and these two delivered. Both wrestlers left it all on the mat. They came in looking to have an absolute brawl. And we see Painwrecker standing over Draven here. But these two really put on a show. I can't sing the praises of Painwrecker and Draven more in this match. Both well known for their amazing offensive capabilities, but also on display in this one the resiliency and just stick-to-itiveness of both wrestlers. Both kicking out of multiple pins after, and massive offensive streaks from both wrestlers, just absolutely leaving it all on the line. This was, I cannot sing the praises of this match anymore. Frankly, this one's an all-timer for sure. SWA will be able to look back and be like, this is the one. You know, this is what wrestling should be like. Two competitors just honestly and going at it, just fighting for what they think they deserve. And if you haven't gone back to see it, or if you didn't catch it live, I know Mo has all of these on his YouTube channel. You can go through and watch every single fight and every single match in SWA history. You can go back and find exactly what you want to find. If your wrestler was wrestling at a certain night, you can go back through and you can experience the entirety of the SWA over again back on Mo's YouTube channel. But for tonight, this is the match. This is the one where you really should, if you have a chance, go back, watch this match. This was on Two Night Stand Season 1, Night 1. Go onto the YouTube channel, check out that video, and just watch this match in its entirety. You will be amazed at the things you see. And it's a shame that you probably can't get the Twitch chat in there and just the kind of live sense of it, but watching this one live, this one was special, and I hope that everyone else agrees with me that this is quite possibly the best match that we've had in SWA history so far. I mean, top 5 certainly. There have been a couple crazy matches since then, so we'll see how the season 2 video shakes out. But you know, that's for another video. That's next time. And you know, frankly, after watching Draven hit these four black masses and putting away Painwrecker here at the end, I'd like to thank everyone for just kind of sticking around watching this video. This has been a fun one for me. As much as it's a little bit rambly, and I'm sure the production quality could have been a little higher. It's just a fun time for me to talk about these wrestling moves and these wrestling stars for the SWA, and I hope everyone enjoyed. This was the season 1 top 10 video. Thanks for sticking around, and be sure to tune in next week to Crazy About the SWA, where we're going to do our sort of first deep dive style podcast. We went over all the attributes in wrestling overall stuff with 2K19 last episode, but this next episode we're going to do a deep dive on Diego Mercer and a little bit by extension Deadfire. So be sure to tune in, learn about our favorite fire-based tag team and our favorite Phoenix who rises from the ashes, Diego Mercer, SWA star Diego Mercer. And who knows, we may be joined by a special guests. So please look forward to that. And this is Crazy Ralph signing off for the night. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. And, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that. I really love all the feedback too, so if you guys leave some comments or whatever, I'll post this on the forum. You can post them on YouTube or whatever, show them to all your friends. But I'm hoping to take this media thing a little bit farther. So hopefully I get to do this a little bit more, maybe a little video essay situation. But I think for the most part, I'm going to stick to podcasts, and the videos will be a little bit more special and fewer in between. But yeah, thanks for coming out, everybody. I'll be sure to tag everyone in the matches, and you guys all have a great day or night or whatever time it is where you are. And this is Ralph out. Thanks for tuning in.